Today, we are going to dive into a truly powerful story. It's about devotion, about consequences, and about a choice that was so huge its impact echoed across lifetimes. Let's get right into it.
I mean, really think about it. Have you ever been in one of those situations where no matter what you do, you're going to disappoint someone, where the right thing to do is just not clear at all? Well, this ancient story speaks directly to that feeling.
Our story doesn't start with some big dramatic prophecy or a clash of armies. Nope, it starts with something much more ordinary, something you and I can relate to. A simple, everyday request that, believe me, kicks off an absolutely extraordinary chain of events.
Okay, so picture this. We're in an ancient, prosperous city. A rich man's son is out with his friends, having a good time in a garden. He gets hungry, so he sends a message back home. Hey, bring me some food. This simple job falls to a loyal servant girl in the house. Her one and only task for that moment, get the meal to him. Sounds easy enough, right?
Well, as you can probably guess, this was not your average delivery. Her short trip from the house to the garden turned into this incredible test of her faith, all because of 3 encounters she had along the way. And this is where you see her incredible devotion. On her first trip out, she happens to meet the Buddha. And without even hesitating, she offers him the master's entire meal. So she has to go back home, get a second meal prepared, and head out again. But this time, she runs into the Buddha's great disciples. And guess what? She gives that entire second meal to them too. It's only on her 3rd trip that she finally makes it to her master with the food.
You know, an act of pure spiritual devotion can have some pretty serious consequences here in the real world. So after all that delay, how do you think her master reacted?
When the master finally got home, his patience was completely gone. He goes to his wife and demands to know why he was kept waiting for so long. He was hungry.
So the mistress is confused. She calls for the servant girl. She says, "We sent food 3 separate times. Why was he waiting?" And the girl, with total honesty, tells her everything. She explains her encounters with the Buddha and his disciples and how she gave them the offerings.
But here's the problem. The master and mistress, they just didn't get it. They had absolutely no faith. So in their eyes, this wasn't an act of devotion. It was just blatant disobedience. And they flew into a rage. They beat her for it.
The beating was so brutal that the servant girl died. From our limited, worldly point of view, her story ends right there, in a terrible, tragic injustice.
But hold on, that is not the end of the story, not even close, because the karmic power of her sincere faith was so immense, her entire destiny was transformed in the blink of an eye.
You see, the end of her life on Earth wasn't an ending at all. It was actually the beginning of a much, much more glorious life.
She was instantly reborn as a deva, a kind of celestial being. And what's amazing is that the moment she was born into this heavenly realm, she had total clarity. She knew exactly where she was, she remembered coming from the human world, and she knew, without a doubt, that her offerings were the direct cause of this incredible reward. So what's the very first thing she does in this new, amazing existence? She is so overwhelmed with joy and gratitude that she comes right back down from the heavens to find the Buddha and pay her respects. She continues the very devotion that changed everything for her. And while she was there, the Buddha gave a teaching. Just by hearing it, she instantly attained the first stage of spiritual enlightenment. So her reward wasn't just a long, happy life in heaven, it was actual, irreversible progress on the path to total freedom. Wow, what an incredible story, right? So what's the big lesson here? What can we take away from this? It's really all about learning to see our choices not just in the context of this one life, but from a much, much bigger perspective.
And here it is, the central teaching of the story. When you're faced with a choice between your everyday, worldly duties and your spiritual path, the guidance is pretty clear. Choose the path that gives you an eternal benefit.
Let's just break that down. If she had made the worldly choice, if she had just delivered the food, she would have pleased her master. She would have avoided a beating, kept her job, for a little while, a moment of peace. But by choosing the spiritual path, she went through terrible, short-term suffering for a reward that is so much bigger and longer-lasting than any comfort on earth. Ultimately, I think this story is a powerful reminder that our perspective is often way too small. It teaches us that the real consequences of our actions, especially the ones we do with a pure heart, are just vast. What looks like a total disaster in the moment might actually be the very thing that leads to our greatest victory.
And that really brings the question back to us, doesn't it?
When we face our own choices, when our duties clash with our deepest values, what are we aiming for? An outcome of temporary comfort or one with lasting meaning? It's definitely something worth thinking about.